Hey guys, Brad here with another quick video. On the bench today, I've got another Bubbles board set. This one is for a customer of mine, Jason. He's got a thread on Clove. He's doing a really detailed Bubbles restoration. It was a conversion cab. He's got the cabinet looking real good. He's getting all the correct parts, sticking with fluorescent lamps and screws and everything. So following that, he was really hoping to get a Bubbles board set. We were able to connect. I said I have, a lot of different boards around. I'll need to pull something out and go through them and get them repaired and restored, which I did. He also asked if I had a mounting plate, which I did. So I'll switch over to the bench cam. I'll go over and show you what we've got here, what I did. We'll do a little diagnostics and some gameplay and then wrap this video up. So let me switch over to the bench cam. This will probably be similar to the other videos I've done here recently, but this is the nature of the beast. So here's the soundboard. Real clean example. Again, this was stripped down, simple grained. I do remove the labels when I do that. I've got a technique. This has got all new electrolytic capacitors. We've got some tantalums in here, 3 of them. I do pull the fuses and clean the fuses with some 3M Scotch-Brite pads, and then I recrimp these the holders for the fuse, so you get a lot of friction and a lot of grip on them, so they don't come loose. All new Molex headers with the square pins. We've got a new bridge rectifier here. I pull the heatsink from the voltage regulator, the 7805, and put new compound. Remove the old, and I do the same on the audio amplifier here, which is a TDA 2002. I've got a nice reproduction label on the 2532 4K ROM with the sound on it for Bubbles. So the soundboard again, rock solid, ready to go. Moving back here, we've got the ROM board, and again, this is all on mounting plate here, and I am providing all new correct 832 by half-inch screws with the they call it SEMS SEMS built-in washers on them. So I've got those all new on the whole board. Looking real good. And then the soundboard, he already has the plate for. The soundboard mounts on the plate that's inside the cab with the power supply, but I am providing the screws for that. I don't know if he's got them or not. And then I also am providing the screws for the large metal plate here that mounts on the back door. So you got to be careful because these are the shorter screws. The ones that go into the 3/4 inch plywood on the side are longer. So the shorties are for the back door on that half-inch plywood. ROM board, we've got all new EPROMs on this board as well, the 27C32s. These are the CMOS version of those chips. They run quite a bit cooler. Access time is as fast or faster. And the CMOS is fully TTL compatible. So this is a great choice if you're putting new EPROMs and you have access to them. Reproduction labels on the special chips here, the Blitters. What else do we have here? New filter caps, Nichicon for the 5-volt power coming in here, and then all new Molex headers with the square pins. And then, of course, I've got my 3M ribbon cables that I make up in-house. Those are all brand new, fully tested. Back here on the I/O board, we've got new ribbon, filter cap, Molex headers with the square pins. This one did have a bad buffer on it, a 4000 series of 4049. These are inverting buffers. One of the inputs was bad. It was actually for a player 2 bubbles, which would be a cocktail mode, which really won't affect it. But I never know if someone's going to put this in a different game. These boards are capable of 18 inputs. So Bubbles Upright only uses a handful of those. Joust uses a different, Robotron. The only game that uses all of them is Splat, actually, which is what I use to test these with when I rebuild them because they are compatible across Stargate, Joust, Robotron, Bubbles, and Splat all use this exact same I/O board. So MPU here is a very clean board. I did strip it and remove all the labels. It did have a little bit of corrosion from the previous battery holder and batteries. Somebody had left alkalines in at one point. So I was able, with the simple green, to neutralize any of the acid damage back here a little bit. And then I do have green solder mask that I put on, and it's the same as the original. It's UV curable. So I've got that on there. The crystal oscillator had some oxidation on it. I just didn't like it, so I've got the exact replacement parts there. I replaced that. We've got all new filter caps here, Nichicons. This is the -5, the +12, and the +5. I do change out, I've mentioned many times this ZR2 here, the Zener diode. This monitors the 5-volt power coming in, and if it drops below the value of that Zener, it will force the CPU into reset, which prevents corruption of like the CMOS RAM contents and things like that. So originally, not sure why Williams put a 3.9 volt in there, which TTL can not operate that low. So, but they never really relied on the 5 volts. They always relied on the 12 volts when you're running a linear power supply. But when you run a switcher, it relies on this one, and the 3.9 is just too low. So I put a 4.7 volt in there. We've got new square pin Molex headers for the input power, the interlock here, memory protect. This protects the upper area, the CMOS RAM, unless the coin door is open. And then this is our video output on this 7-pin Molex header. So you've got red, green, blue, ground, horizontal, vertical, and the last pin is actually a composite where those two are combined. I take them straight out because I like to test them like that. Also, you notice here on this board, because there was a little damage, I used a new AA battery holder, and these are lithium batteries in here, so we don't have to worry about any off-gassing or alkali damage there. So everything's rock solid, and we'll go through, and I also provide little stickers. I had a bunch of stickers made up. These are really nice for all the different games. I try to include those now when I do a board repair service. Okay. What you're seeing on the screen now is just some artifacts from the old from the CGA to VGA converter. Whenever you shut it off, it just kind of holds the image in there. So, little remote control on the bench. I'm going to hit it. This is going to turn on the original Williams linear power supply with the transformer and send nice, clean, regulated DC power over to the board. And then there's our rug pattern or carpet pattern. And I mentioned before that is actually a self-test on the RAM that the board is doing. And ultimately, whatever ends up in the RAM gets written out to the video display. The video rendering portion of the circuit, as well as the side that the CPU controls, share that memory space on alternating clock cycles. So basically, the CPU dumps what it wants displayed into the RAM, and then when the clock changes cycle, half a cycle, it gets rendered out to your screen. So it's a shared space. So you can see she boots directly into a track mode, which is great. That tells us the batteries are working and the CMOS and all that circuitry is working well. So let me drop into diagnostics. All ROMs are good, and that tests the checksums against what's stored. So when they compile these programs, they break it up into these 11 ROMs in this case, or 12 for Bubbles. Sendastar uses 11, I believe, and they calculate the checksums on each one, and then they store those in one of the ROMs. And when the game first boots, it reads that in and then calculates the checksums on each ROM and compares them to make sure it's correct. And now it's just going to go through and test RAM pretty much until you advance. And it says no RAM errors detected. Then it tests the CMOS, it writes data and reads it back. We'll loop through some sound test here. And when we get to 6, it'll go back. And I mentioned that before, that there's 6 digital outputs on the ROM board that command the soundboard what to play. So by them creating those 6 tests, they actually are testing each one of the physical output lines that drive that. So ultimately, if you hear a sound on each one of those and they're different, you know that all the outputs are working, and then also all the inputs and buffering on the soundboard are working. So switch test. So again, I've got my little PlayStation controller that I've mapped these controls years ago, and I just load the configuration for Bubbles, and everything's over it. So I'm actually using the analog stick here. So you got up, down, left, right. Not many controls on Bubbles if you've ever seen the control panel. We've got the point up and start button there. And then I do have the diagnostic buttons mapped through the controller, so obviously I can enter this menu and things like that. And then we'll go through and look at the color RAM. So you'll see 3 intensities of red, and then 3 intensities of green, and then 2 intensities of blue for a total of 8. These are 8-bit systems, so they had to figure out the best way to divvy up those 8 amongst the 3 colors they needed. So red and green got 3 different values, and blue got stuck with only 2. So Then the next screen here is grid lines where you set convergence with your monitor. This is where you line everything up and get all three of your red, green, and blue guns to align and form white. Many people now with all these monitor test patterns here, they're just going to use a test pattern generator, a TPG device. There's quite a few of them on the market. Um, they all tend to work pretty good. Most of them are battery operated. Usually they have some sort of like screensaver mode where there's nothing like fixed like this static that's going to etch your CRT over time. You know, after a certain amount of time, they'll start doing little like Tetris blocks and different things. So um, I'm sure some people still use the ones built in game like this. I know back in the 80s when these were out, this was kind of the de facto way to do it. But nowadays, with the inexpensive cost of these TPGs, and you know what to look for, a lot of people just use those. So then we get a solid red, solid green, solid blue, then color bars. We go into bookkeeping, and then from bookkeeping data, I'm not sure why we got all that there. I'm going to go in and reset and clear the memory on that just to verify. So if we go down here, actually, we'll do let's see here, use the credit button to change. There we go. Bookkeeping, high score reset, and then I'm going to hit advance. And then I'm going to drop back into bookkeeping there. They're all cleared now. So it was just some garbage left in there. So, and then again, so the next screen when we were in there would be your game adjustments here, your settings. So you can set free play. You can set how many letters are allowed for the high score table. And then you can also do a track message, you know, Brad's arcade or whomever, in this case, Jason's arcade. You can put a message in there, and you can also set the name for the highest score in there. So with that, back to the track mode here. I'm going to drop a couple credits. You should be getting some audio. Hit start. This is a pretty fun game. On the prototype version that they had out originally, you weren't able to push these sponges down the drain. And I think there was a couple other little differences, but it's much more fun to play if you can bump those guys down the drain. So anytime that drain is green, you can go down it. You don't have to catch all the guys. This little broom lady. Ooh. See, I can go to the next sink. It's kind of a neat concept. You know, nobody was doing anything like this back then. I think they were really trying to appeal to some younger kids and things like that. So many of the games were the shoot-up, violent games. So with that, I'm going to shut this off and wrap up this video. So again, I'm going to get these boards. They've already had at least 48 hours of runtime on the bench here. They've gone through different stages where I did the MPUs and tested them independently in the ROM boards and that. So everything's got plenty of runtime. I'm confident it's going to be running good and reliable for the customer. So I'm going to get everything put into pink anti-static bags, wrapped in some bubble wrap, put it in a box, and we'll get it coming out to Jason here in the next couple days. So thanks for watching. I am going to probably do a video coming up on the FPGA cat box. I added some new scripts for testing these bubbles when I was doing them. Bubbles is a little unique. So we'll go over that, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.